Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivemy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film. And this week on the podcast, we're talking about that new Who.
That new Who. Because from 2005 on, it's called New Who by a lot of people.
The newest of Who.
The newest of Who.
The newest of Who's.
It's fresh.
Yeah, we're talking about that shooty Who, that 15th Doctor?
The Wikipedia says this is series 14. Oh, 15th Doctor. Oh,
15th
number.
Doctor.
I don't think he's 50. He's 14th series. What number of Doctor are you?
I remember
15th, yes.
Yeah,
right,
15th.
right.
Because
it's a weird numbering.
I think they counted Tenet twice. So I think that he's the 14th, but I think Tenet is both the 11th and
he's
was
10
and 14.
Doesn't seem right.
It doesn't
but
seem.
he did get regenerated.
It doesn't seem right, but there was 2 Tenets. There was a war dot. The numbering's getting all weird.
It's kind of easier to go by season number at this point.
If we're told, but even then it's not, because there's series numbers and there's Christmas specials, and that's all wonky as hell.
Yeah, because it's series 14 according to BBC, but if you watch it on Disney Plus, this is season 1.
Yeah.
It's the first Disney Plus one that they've ever done in co-production.
And according to IMDb, this is season 1 of Doctor Who. Like, they've started a new entry to be like, this is the one that Disney owns now. This is a different one. We're starting fresh with American numbering systems, which I do find that is also because, today we're going to be talking about up to what is listed on Disney Plus as episode 6.
And that's not right either.
And that's not quite right either, because really we feel like we're talking about episodes 1 to 5, but on Disney Plus it's listed as up to episode 6, which is Dot and Bubble is what we'll be talking about today, because they count the Christmas special as episode 1, which I'm used to, we've grown accustomed to the BBC numbering of the Christmas specials not being a numbered episode.
They're just their own thing.
But I think that Disney Plus was like, we're not doing a Christmas episode and series 1. We're doing American numbering, and it has to have a number. I don't care if they're 6 months apart.
The Christmas episode is still its own thing on Disney Plus. You can watch it on its own.
Oh, okay.
So it does exist. It exists in 2 places.
On its own and as episode 1.
Yes. And may I just say, this is the most Doctor Who fandom way to start a Doctor Who episode of all time.
To be like, it's all...
Let's be pedantic about the numbering.
Yeah. Well, they're Americanizing it now, I think, is what they're trying to do. To be like, there's no Christmas specials. That's episode 1. And then you wait 6 months for episode 2. And here we go.
Yeah. It starts here and it's just straightforward.
Yeah. That's what we're doing.
Good luck. That means Ncuti would be the first Doctor if this is season 1.
I
that's
guess
not. He's referencing past lives.
It's season 1 of a new series that is in canon with previous. I don't work there. I don't know.
Can you get a
Don't
note
come at me.
to Russell T Davies?
Don't you come at me.
I wasn't. I was coming at the BBC.
But we're talking today about the newest series of Doctor Who up to what is listed as episode 6, Dot and Bubble. We'll be talking about up to that with spoilers in just a moment. Before we do, though, since we are talking about the new season of television, as we do anytime that we talk about a new anything, we like to give you a spoiler-free review in case you're on the fence about watching it, not sure if it's worth your time or whatever your reasons might be for wanting a spoiler-free review. Then once you hear the theme song, that is when we will enter the spoiler-filled section. So to start with the usual, the simple question in the spoiler-free review, Diana, did you like it?
I do really like it. It's getting very close to a love. Once the season's over and you see it as a whole, it might be a love for me. Right now, it's a very, very high like. I was a big fan of the Russell T Davies original series, and it feels like he's back again. It's really interesting sci-fi. Every episode is a new cool premise. I love Ncuti and Millie Gibson as the Doctor and companion. They have this wonderful, pure friendship. They bounce off each other in great ways. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's emotional. It's always interesting. I will say it has not pulled my heartstrings like Russell T Davies has before in the Tennant years and even in the Eccleston years. So he hasn't quite gotten me yet. I haven't had a good cry, and I love a good cry via Doctor Who, and that hasn't happened yet, but I've been wildly engaged, wildly entertained. I think every episode's been pretty much a delight from top to bottom. They're going to have a couple little goofs because That's our job. But overall, I really, really like this season so far. I'm having a really great time. Andrew, do you like Doctor Who season 1 or 14, depending on what you're looking at?
The 15th Doctor, we'll say. I'm very similar to you. I am a very high like. It's not fully in the love yet, but it has all of the premises of a love where I'm like, oh, I'm really going to love where this goes and how it grows and evolves. It has all the foundations of what I really enjoy. So all the foundations have been set up, and there are definitely some just great moments so far already with the new Doctor. So I'm having a fantastic time. There are a few kind of fumbles along the way, but it is also kind of like refinding its footing, both with a new Doctor and, circling back to Russell T Davies at a different point in their career, kind of figuring out a new version of Who. So there are some growing / reconstituting pains that are here, but other than that, I'm like, I like all of the bones. I like all of the structure. I like Shooty. I like everything that this is bringing to the table. I am invested into watching more. Whereas, when you compare it to some of the previous seasons of Who, where it's been kind of one foot out the door, off and on. This is one where I'm like, I'm in.
I'm fully in. Yeah.
I'm fully in. I don't love it yet, but I'm invested. I'm fully invested.
I feel I trust this.
Yeah.
I do really appreciate that the BBC doesn't start filming until all the scripts are done. That's crazy, but it's like it really does make such a cohesive season that you're like, they're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Even on the way, it's great.
Yeah.
Before they get there, of wherever this all leads at the end. So yeah, I think it's been a great ride so far, and I really can't wait to see where we end up with Ruby and the Doctor.
And can it be spoiled?
Can it be spoiled? Not so much so far. I imagine by the end of the season, there's going to be some big spoilies. I mean, like each individual episode, but there hasn't been like an arc spoiling to be had yet, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I think like there are some seeds of things that could be spoiled later. We could maybe spoil the seeding of something, but not a flower, not a full completion here. So I agree with you. It can't really be spoiled.
Which is rare for Doctor Who.
Yeah. Well,
actually, not before the season ends. Usually they save all that for the finales. Like we're gonna find out some stuff.
We'll get some big stuff. Yeah, there are only establishment of mysteries at the moment, which I don't think can really be spoiled. Other than unless you want to go experience the establishing of those mysteries yourself. So we're both agree that it is a high like. It can't really be spoiled. That is our spoiler-free review. Before we get into the spoiler-filled section of the episode, we do want to thank our sponsor of today's episode. We want to thank our friends over at Mint Mobile.
Oh, I love Mint Mobile because you know what I like doing?
Lay it on me.
Not paying a fortune for my wireless plan.
Of course.
Who would want to? And also changing to a more affordable wireless plan is just a great way to improve your life. You know when you make an improvement in your life and you're like, oh, I realize now how I was before was wrong. It's that type of like, oh, this was actually like really simple and easy, and I don't know why I'd been putting it off or dreading it. Like, it's just a simple change. Mm-hmm. You're going to switch to Mint Mobile and then get cocky.
Oh,
you're gonna be
yeah,
like, my life is so much better. I've like ticked like 8 things off my to-do list. I got all this extra money for new summer clothes now.
You'll feel powerful.
You will feel powerful.
You'll feel powerful. They don't say that. I'm saying that. That's me. That's me. I am guessing. Legally, don't hold me accountable. But I think you'll feel powerful.
I think you'll feel powerful. When I'm paying wireless plans starting at $15 a month, I feel pretty good.
You feel pretty powerful. When all plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network, that feels powerful. Use your own phone with Mint Mobile and be like, just turn this into a Mint phone, and they will. You can use your existing phone number along with all your existing contacts and just switch it over to Mint Mobile. It's so easy peasy. That real simple. That feels powerful. So you can get rid of the overpriced wireless with their limited time deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. And boy, their website is just incredibly easy and phenomenal to navigate and use. It's a really simple time. I had such a simple time kind of going through what they offer and how to set it up, and it's easier than any other mobile experience that I've had previously. So to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, month, go to mintmobile.com/TFS. That's mintmobile.com/TFS. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/TFS. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. And thank you, Mint Mobile, for your support.
Thank you so much, Mint Mobile.
And now let's get into the spoiler-filled section of the episode. Let's talk more about Doctor Who. All right, we have watched more Who, and I'm glad that we feel how we expected and hoped to feel.
Definitely hoped to feel. I love feeling things, and I especially positive emotions. And so I've been very happy to be like, oh, it's back, because it feels like there could have been a big. Not a problem, but it does feel kind of reductive to be like, the old showrunner's back. It's like, oh, we're not going to trust in new showrunners. We're not going to try new things. But it does feel like brand new, but it also feels like safe and comfortable in what I'm used to. And what I loved about like Russell T Davies' original run.
This feels to Who kind of the way that like when we talked about how Strange New Worlds feels to Star Trek. It is that level of like, it is not, and I would say almost in a similar vein, though it being a direct continuation, the way that like we also kind of felt about X-Men 97 recently on Disney Plus, which was just that kind of feeling of like this is not just the factor of like, oh, the familiar thing is back and that makes me feel nice. This is not just nostalgia value. This is the familiar thing is back and it's brought the heart and core of that into a slightly more modernized era. And this feels like that. It's a little bit more modern. It's a little bit improved. The pacing is a little bit different. The production value is different than what it was originally for Davies. It's a little punchier at times as well. It has a little bit more oomph and a little bit more of something to say. It feels like they're willing to go for it and get away with a little bit more, and I respect that. So it's not just the give me the same thing again nostalgia cookie. It is that heart, but with something more. It does feel special again.
Yeah, it's give me the same thing, but like update it. I don't want the exact same thing. Yeah, it is, add a few new ingredients in there. Have like a fun bisexual doctor who I'm like, that's great. This is fun for me. I'm having a good time. Yeah, it's very updated. It's just fun and it feels fresh, but it feels like you're like, oh, I'm just hanging out with the doctor, my friend. But he's back in 2024, baby.
Yeah. And Shooty is great. Shooty is phenomenal. So great. I'm really having a fantastic time with him.
I'm having so much fun with him. This guy can cry at the drop of a dime, huh?
Oh, boy. You give him a second, he'll start dropping a few tears.
But, like, the rest of the face isn't moving. It's really just like he can turn on just the tear duct.
He's doing it.
Because when he was on that landmine, it was like just constant waterfall.
Yeah.
what face waterfall?
Yeah. And I also really enjoy Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday as well. I think that she is a fantastic companion. On top of that, I think that they are both fantastic for one another, both as the character writing and as performers. I think they have sincere chemistry. They seem like true friends, both on and off camera. There is a vibe here that is working, I think, in every angle that you approach it from.
This is another reason that I do feel like it's like slightly modernized, because I will say I do love their relationship. They have incredible chemistry. They feel wildly comfortable with each other. They feel like genuine friends. But they also, in a way, feel like siblings, but they also feel like friends who have been friends for a super long time. And, like, the Doctor has had platonic companions before. I mean, Tennant and Donna are, like, the ideal. But this is different than them. They're both much more tactile. They're younger. They feel like they're relying on each other more. It is a really beautiful relationship that they've, like, right out the gate gotten with these two characters that I really love.
Well, I think one of the things that they've done early on with these two characters, and this is almost feels ridiculous to say, that I don't think I've seen from any other companion, which is that they share interests.
Oh, they share
they're both
Interest.
like music, and they talk about music, and like they're both very musical people, and they kind of like vibe off of that, and they actually share interests. Whereas like when you look at like Eccleston or Tennant and Rose, it's like
What do they have in common?
they have, and I'm gonna say like almost every companion, even to like my favorite of the new Who era would have been Donna, and that feels like two like coworkers who became friends, but I'm not gonna be like they both read the same books and talk about it. Like they love one another like family and have nothing in common like family. Whereas these are two people where I'm like, you share interests, you share the same view of the world, and that's actually kind of rare for a companion. And that's one of the things that feels very modern about this as well, to be like, this isn't just two people that we've dropped into a storyline together for the convenience of plot. These are two people who actually naturally feel drawn to one another due to more than the fact that this dude is lonely and that this woman wants an adventure. They have more in common than those two things.
You have really broken down the tenets of a doctor and companion relationship. It's lonely and looking for adventure in the sky. But yeah, you're right. That's not quite what's happening here. I think that is mostly a positive and a slight negative for me. I do like, it does create such a warm feeling, like when they're both excited to go watch the Beatles record their first album, and the doctor's like, of course, how have I never gone to see the Beatles? That makes so much sense. And he talks about history in a way that's more interested than other doctors. Other doctors would be like, 20 top 10 hits and they're the greatest ever lived. But you don't feel like they're like actual fans. And you feel like Shudi's a fan of the Beatles.
Yes, and I think even beyond the Beatle thing, even the fact that was her suggestion, every other companion's suggestion has either been a dumb suggestion that he has shot down or acceptable because he's bored. And those are it's never been, yes, awesome, I love your brains. Sometimes he'll be like, you're brilliant and you don't know why you just gave me the answer to the puzzle we're trying to figure out. But to be like, you're brilliant because of the things you like. That's just never happened before in this dynamic. And I find that really fun. But yeah, them sharing the Beatles as well and like him liking the thing. Yeah,
it's really fun. It's really nice. I think it does create this slight dynamic that I think might kind of wrap into the lack of like a deep emotional core, which is it does kind of create this. Ruby isn't as in awe of the doctor as other companions are. I think they're such good friends.
I love that.
I do. For the most part,
I understand that's not for everyone.
For the most part, I like that. For the most part, I do like it. It's really nice and warm when you're watching it, but it does kind of like remove a bit of the awe of the doctor. Like the doctor, like he doesn't feel like the oncoming storm when he has an actual best friend who gets him. Like it feels like it's kind of just taken the aura off just a tiny bit. But, he is a living being. He's not just some god. So he should. But it just takes it away just a tiny little bit. You're like, I think he is understandable, but he's not supposed to be understandable. He's not supposed to be touchable. He's not supposed to be, you're not supposed to be able to completely wrap your head around him. And it feels like she has very quickly, which is really nice for a relationship, but it does like take the splendor off a little bit, I think.
I think I can totally get where you're coming from there. It does remove the splendor. I like that it removes the splendor because it humanizes the doctor. It allows me to see him as just an intelligent person, as just a sentient life who cares and loves kind of more than the oncoming storm persona of the doctor. And also it makes it feel really nice because like these are just kind of like that, and I think that's part of why I liked Donna as so much as well, is that I like two equals in a power struggle, and I've never really, even though like I've loved a lot of Who, especially the Tennant years, there's always that little bit of predatoriness that I don't really like, where it's someone who's coming in as be like, yeah, I'm special, I'm super incredible, are you just gonna hang around here in your loser life? As opposed to like this, which feels very much a like, hey, should we both just like sit on a couch and talk about music for a while?
I definitely feel like they drink wine on a couch together.
Yes.
They absolutely do.
Yeah, even though he's someone who wants to keep moving, this is a relationship where it's like they can move and drink wine and talk about shared interests.
And I think that's true, but also like the epic moments are so good. Like the doctor having the Daleks and the Cybermen run away from him because he's so terrifying and he's so smart and he's so clever. Like we haven't had a moment like that this season yet. And 6 episodes in, I would like to feel like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I would like to feel a Dr. Oh shit moment. I don't think I've had that in 6 episodes yet.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I feel is maybe like just lacking that slight bit from getting me to a love.
I do. I can see that, and
But the relationship with Ruby is delightful.
Yeah. It's just, I don't even mean to shit on previous companions. It's just, when you feel something so special that it's like, oh, now I see what was missing in the previous ones. The previous relationships, it feels like the Doctor is driving a car, and chained to it is the companion who has to run behind. And it's like, keep up or be dragged are your 2 options.
That seems a bit too extreme for me.
But this feels like he got out of the car and was like, I'm running alongside of you because it's fun to run.
Oh, they are just both in the car.
No, they're not in the car because it's fun. It's fun to be part of an adventure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little dark.
Well, we covered Furiosa the other week.
I thought you were slightly
seeped in
by Furiosa. I was
Might
going
be
to say this
seeping
feels
in.
familiar in
and
a
it
way
is.
that isn't the same tone as the Doctor. But I agree because previous companions, especially Russell T Davies companions that aren't Donna, were all in love with the Doctor. And that does create a power dynamic, not just from like intelligence level or age level, because he's all quite old and they're very young. It's like, it's also just like the awe factor and like, I'll do anything for you because I'm in love with you kind of stuff. It does create a weird power imbalance. So it is nice to have a companion who's willing to die for you just because you're friends, just because you're actually buds.
Yeah.
Not because you're like, the universe needs you, but just because like, I don't want you to die on a landmine, so I'm coming down into the hole.
And even love that. I'm coming down into
I'm coming into the hole
but
with you.
reasonably so. But
I'm not doing
in a way
anything-
that's quite reasonable.
Yeah, I'm walking slowly into the hole.
Yeah.
I'm not an idiot.
I'm not an idiot.
I'm not losing my mind over you, Doctor.
Even like just the healthiness of I would say the 73 yards episode, which we can get into of like it's not a perfect episode necessarily, but it shows the health of her to be like, there's a mystery. I need the Doctor. I'm gonna hang around and get the Doctor back. I actually can't hang around forever. I'm going to lead a pretty kind of rich life on my own, and I'm not just kind of staring at the stars waiting for the magic man to take me away. I'm going on dates. I'm getting a job. I'm also being the hero of my own story as well. I'm making a fucking difference in the world. And like, just not that like I'm pining over the romantic magic man, the I respect my friend and hope he comes back. I'm going to visit my friends, maybe not grave, but memorial or whatever at the TARDIS. It's like, I respect and miss my friend. I would like them to be here, but that's not the only thing that defines who I am as a person.
Yeah, I will say for like, we will talk about like the end of 73 yards, but in terms of a companion having agency, it was like groundbreaking.
Fucking
because
ruled.
as soon as she set up a chair in front of the TARDIS, I was like, well, she's going to be here for weeks or months. Like, this is what companions do. They don't leave the Doctor. And for her to eventually just be like, I can't solve this and I got to just get on with my life. I'm like, yeah, girl, that fucking rules.
That rules. Mental health it up.
Yeah.
Respectful boundaries with your relationships with others.
And exactly what you said. Like, this show usually loves like, Rory stayed and guarded Amy's tomb for 2,000 years. I think Clara like spent like 200 years with a key and a lock to try to get to 11 at one point. Like, Amy looked into the stars every night when she met the Doctor as a kid until she met him as an adult. Like, they do become obsessed. And for Ruby to just be like, if this girl wasn't following me, I would just be out. Like, she would just be like, I guess he just disappeared.
Like,
and it's so healthy. You're right. The dates thing is crazy. Because when have we ever seen a companion just like be able to let go?
Never.
And she couldn't let go because there was a woman 73 yards away.
Yeah.
But to still be able to have sex with a dude when there's a woman 73 yards away who's not going away.
What a mentally healthy person for an insane scenario.
Like, I know at the end of the episode, she didn't remember living her whole life, but even if she had, I feel like she would have been like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would have believed it. I would have absolutely been like, yeah, she didn't have like a torturous time. She was like, no, I still had to live my life.
I even liked the moment when Unit shows up, when Lethbridge Stewart shows up. Yeah, Kate is there, and it's like, I'm from Unit, and just the dynamic that they had of
really
like
nice.
Of Ruby not being like, so can you get the Doctor back? Of Ruby being like, yeah, you seem like you rule too. I get along with people who rule. That's my personality.
I think
and I'm
you,
like,
Kate,
yes.
Ruby is like, I think you, Kate can solve this. You seem we're vibing. We're having wine. This is what I do.
Yep.
I have a nice drink with cool people, and I'm like, can you help me out with this? But I'm not helpless. But I recognize that you have resources.
But you recognize cool people.
You recognize.
And then she also solved the problem. She also solved the problem on her own.
Did she?
I mean, she solved the prime minister thing in that timeline question mark, whatever that was.
Definitely.
You know what? Why don't we just while we're here,
we should talk about this.
Let's talk about that one. I know that you take the floor. I know that that's not your favorite.
I actually really enjoyed this episode until it wasn't anything. Then it wasn't anything.
Yeah.
No explanation of where the doctor went. No explanation of how she time traveled to herself of 73, why 73 yards, why any of that happened. No explanation of what this sign language she was doing with the shrug was. Like, what was that all about? Why'd you do that for 45 years straight? Just no, a paradox is always so boring. It's ruined several episodes. This whole it happened because it happened idea. Like, there's been several really good episodes that get ruined at the end of being like, well, this happened because I'm going to leave myself a note right now. I'm like, that fucking sucks. And
it's such a strange thing that this wasn't the episode written by Moffat, because that was such a Stephen Moffat era of Doctor Who thing to be like, it happened because it happened, which is why it's happening, and that's why it will happen again. To be like, yes, but that completely removes. I understand the idea of like the Doctor not wanting to break a paradox, but also timelines do change pretty regularly. This series, A New Doctor, started it with a goof with Isaac Newton. Like, that is just a thing that we do. We goof with changing the timeline. So, like, when did this first loop happen? How did that loop break?
How are you looping?
Why any of it? And I like some of it. I like as a mystery. Actually, I'm going to say everything other than the loop. Like you don't need to explain 73 miles. You don't even need to necessarily explain the hand gesture thing, but just to be like, why was this loop? Why this loop?
Why this loop? What were you saying to people that was like making them run away in fear? What was that all about? Now, it is a thing I will say, and this actually does feel a little Moffat-y in a good way. I will say you can have kind of these episodes sometimes because they write the entire season beforehand that gets explained, because Ruby's clearly got a mystery going on.
Yes,
she can make snow appear. She's got some kind of birth mother that we don't know about. So there's going to be something about Ruby we find out, I assume, by the end of the season. And I feel like that might retroactively make the episode make sense. But at this point in time, it still makes the episode be like, what the fuck was that?
I think it'll make some of the things this season make sense. I don't think it's going to make. I think this episode's just a write-off for trying to make sense of it. Even though it's a phenomenal, like, it's a great horror, a great thriller.
The vibes?
The vibes are incredible, visually stunning. I think it's the best shot of all of the episodes so far, where like just every scene, a painting, very visually stunning, very beautiful, just technically executed. The shot on like the football field of her lining up the thing, just the writing was empowering for Ruby. It was sincerely horrifying, sincerely scary. Some of the mysteries I even like the fact that like everyone runs away screaming after they talk to her and we don't know why or ever really find out why. That absolutely ruins them as a person. But the young Ruby weaponizing that is cool. It's fun.
It is fun and cool. Yeah. I'm kind of reminded of what I want to latch onto is it was Eleven and Amy. There's a very, very cool scene where Amy can't open her eyes in a forest, and the doctor's like, don't open your eyes, just keep walking, and he leaves. But then he comes back and he's like, sorry, you do have to keep walking, and I'm going to talk you through it. And his jacket's gone now. And it's not a continuity error. At the end of the season, he goes back through his life backwards. And you find out that was a different doctor.
Right.
Who like went to visit Amy for another few minutes. And I was like, I hope it's something cool like that.
Yeah.
I hope it's something cool like that, because that was the coolest reveal of all time. That's where his jacket went.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm hoping for something like that to make this episode kind of like, because I feel like if I understood the loop and there was a little explanation, this could be just like a banger all-time episode.
I agree with that. And clearly, Russell T Davies as a showrunner is bad wolfing us again. Like there are several big things that he is setting
up. That lady who shows up in every single episode is basically bad wolf words.
Of course, yeah.
Somehow.
So
or she's Ruby's mom. I don't know.
That might be we'll figure out what's going on there. Yeah. But I would say that, yeah, I really like the 73 yards episode. I think that the what was the title of the episode? The music, the Beatles one, the Devil's Chord. The Devil's Chord. Jinx Monsoon is in fucking credible. Holy shit. All-time legend. Absolute legend performance. Like there are criticisms to place on this episode. I don't even know if it's a criticism, but to be like, you did a Beatles episode with no Beatles music is a bold choice.
I also have that note down, but I want to hear more about Jinx Monsoon.
And a musical episode with relatively minimal music, but this performance is phenomenal. Absolutely owns this character, understands it in a way that like no one else would, and just gives this performance that is the performance that guest stars on Doctor Who should be doing and not enough are.
That they dream of doing, getting like...
It is
eating up a villain role like that.
Yeah. It is that theatrical, like when we talk about comic book movies, and to be like, it is when you go... It is when Hiddleston shows up and is like, I'm doing Loki as Shakespeare. And it's like, that's a big, insane choice for a comic book movie, and it works.
It absolutely works.
And Jinx Monsoon is that here, to be like, I'm going big, I am going like off the page huge, and it works in every second of it.
I think Jinx Monsoon is very, very good at this, but I think my favorite thing was I have never seen you react to a villain in this way. Like every time this happened about 3 times, there would be just like a bit of monologue that ends in like just angry screaming. And every time they would do that transition, you would be like, oh yeah, like you were fucking vibing it so hard. And I also really liked it. But I was like, Andrew is enjoying the musical episode and I'm over the moon. Even though it's a musical episode that is so smart because it's about how music is so great by absence of music.
Yeah.
It makes you appreciate music by not being a fully musical episode. And it's so brilliant in the reversal. As a person who loves musical episodes, I still think this episode is so, so good despite having almost no music in it.
And just some of the small stories, some of the small scenes, like a story within a scene in this episode. The moment when like the Doctor uses his sonic to cancel out all sound.
Oh, that's so
And
good.
there's no sound at all. And it cuts to the Maestro is the character's name. And it cuts to the Maestro knocking over like a glass bottle and it shatters. But there's no sound. And it's a very simple premise for a scene to be like, let's have one long scene where no sound exists. And the performance that they bring to the Maestro and just these big reactions, and it is just perfect, and it's well shot and it's well executed, and this silent performance that's given in this one little micro story is so good.
I mean, that entire sequence really stayed with me. I mean, like, Shooty is also being so good at being scared because the Doctor is so infrequently terrified. But the Doctor is like, I'm in over my head. I'm actually scared. I've turned the sonic into a noise dampener with a flashlight, and I'm just here in the dark, terrified. And he even telling the Ruby afterwards, like, it's one trick. You can use it one time. You don't get to do it again. It really like ups the stakes of the episode and how powerful the Maestro is. This episode is such a wonderful combination of just incredible writing, acting, premise, all meeting together. And it does have a beautiful story. The Beatles are barely in it, but the beautiful story of like, I don't know if it was John or Paul. Was it Paul who was like, sometimes I dream of a note, maybe an E, and then an F? E?
A G, an E, and then a G again?
And that's kind of nothing, but the performance and like the pacing and the you can feel the longing of music. And it's gorgeous.
Because the 2 guys that got to play Paul and John as well, they only get one scene, one real scene. They get to like play a single piano note at the end, but they don't talk. They get one scene. And yeah, it's that moment with Paul where he's talking about dreaming of music, and it's so beautiful. And then they have that moment with the guy playing John who's like, I don't want to do this. I just kind of want to wrap up this recording today and go home. I don't really want to be a musician. I don't think about it at all. And then he just flips and goes, I don't know why I wake up crying every day. And because the music is gone and he doesn't know why, but the performance turn he gives in that one, just acting lessons that are laid out in this Devil's Cord episode from absolutely everyone. Phenomenal costumes and wardrobe as well. Both Ruby and the Doctor look phenomenal.
Both Ruby and the Doctor. This leads me to a very interesting point. This Doctor doesn't have an outfit.
I don't like it.
He doesn't like it. Everyone, calm down. Hear him out. Let's hear him out.
I just like a doctor with a costume.
I want my Doctor. Now, I will say, I think Shooty looks great. I love that this Doctor. This is another.
It's fashionable. Looks fantastic.
This is another thing I'm
fashionable.
up and down on because like he looks amazing every episode. I'm like, I love that you're a Doctor who's just like living his life, and you're like, no, I'm going to experience things. I'm not going to stick to one outfit like a cartoon character. But the one outfit I think also adds to the awe factor I was mentioning before of the Doctor. Of you will show up and you will recognize the Doctor. They will be in the same outfit. They will be. And that does kind of make them feel like timeless of like, wherever you meet me, I will look the same.
Yeah.
And I will not age and I will not change for the world around me. I will wear what I want to wear in that moment. But it also is like, who the hell just wants to wear one outfit all the time? It's also unrelatable.
I understand that it's like one outfit, it's probably less enjoyable for the actor. While it's probably good for consistency in the wardrobe department.
The costuming department is like awesome.
Awesome. That makes it easy, but it also means that you don't necessarily get to display your art every episode.
It's always the companion.
Yeah, there's other ways to do it, but I understand why, and it also feels more modern to be like, hey, it's more fashionable, better looking, and just a little bit more stylish in every regard. But I'm like, but how are people going to cosplay at conventions?
That's also
legitimately a thought that I had where I'm like, because like, I'm not saying you always need to be in the exact same thing, but I think it needs to be like the Doctor has an outfit, a costume. And maybe like 1 or 2 episodes that season is the like, we went to a Victorian ball and I changed my outfit. And it's like a big, like the Beatles episode when he's wearing the period appropriate suit. That could be like the one-off to be like, you see someone then at a convention in that and you're like, oh, you're that episode.
You're the Beatles episode.
Yeah.
But I agree that there does need to be a standard so that when you have like the Doctor photo shoot, which like most cons have, like everyone dressed as the Doctor come and we'll all take a big photo. It's like none of the shooties are gonna match.
No.
They're all gonna be whatever you want. He does seem to like orange, but that's all I'm getting.
Yeah, I think
he's got an affinity for orange.
If you're gonna cosplay, you just go with like whatever the promotional art outfit was, like for the posters and stuff like that, and that's about it.
It does ruin like the superhero nature of like, where's your costume?
I do miss that. I do agree. I also agree that I miss that.
Especially when you're on just like another planet where you can wear whatever you want. There should be a go-to just outfit.
Yeah. Or I think there's also ways to modernize it as well, to be like, find one piece, even if it's a jacket.
A statement piece.
Yeah, you don't, it doesn't need to be a bland jacket. You don't need to Eccleston it to be like, what about a leather coat, jeans, and a t-shirt the entire time? But if it was like a jacket, but like changing what's underneath it every time, to be like, that adds some consistency. But yeah, that's a little bit different. And then on that similar note, I do not like this new Sonic whatever.
This is miserable.
It looks like trash.
This is the lowest point of the season.
It might be.
Because it's such a lovely season. Everything is going so well. And then he'll be like, I'll fix it with my Sonic. And I mean, your USB drive fucking talk boy? What do you...
It looks like a yak back.
It does. I didn't want to take your thing, but
it looks like a yak back.
It absolutely looks like a yak back.
It looks like a yak back Tamagotchi.
It looks like a mouse you turned over the bottom of an old roller mouse.
One of those ergonomic mouse.
Like an ergonomic mouse, which is kind of at least a piece of tech, as a yak back also is.
You know what I think it looks like, and I think why it's kind of disappointing, is it looks like a piece of generic sci-fi gobbledygook. Like, it doesn't look like something that was custom made for this Doctor and his personality and how he performs. It feels like there's a box of props at the BBC that's marked sci-fi show, and someone grabbed something out of it and handed it, and that's it. It doesn't feel chosen. It doesn't feel careful in any way.
It doesn't feel like a screwdriver.
It's also not and
that's the biggest problem.
I'm even okay if you're gonna make a big swing. I'm not saying it's like you're stuck in this lane forever. It always needs to be a screwdriver now. make it a little different, but it doesn't feel like, I don't look at it and go, 15. Like, I don't, like, there's nothing about it that reflects where it's like Jodie's was like more like natural and almost looked like a witch's staff. Like, it was like wood and it was different. Whereas Tennant's was so like thoughtful and mechanical. It felt like the most like mechanized of all of them. It reflects them a little bit, and I really liked that. And this doesn't reflect anything, I don't think.
No, it feels like the doctor's iPad. It's like it's not even convenient. Like, you can't even hold it in your hand easily. It doesn't feel like this doctor. It doesn't feel like he chose it or made it or wanted it. And it's also, and I feel like the show even kind of knows that because it doesn't use it very much.
He doesn't get a close up and he doesn't use it. And even like Shooty doesn't look like he knows how to hold it. Like, he takes it out. It
looks awkward.
He holds it the way like Dakota Johnson holds a Pepsi can in Scarlet Witch. Like, they've never seen it before.
Webb.
Or Madam Web, sorry.
Yeah, no. If you've seen that scene, you've
hell
seen
of a
it.
scene.
You remember it.
Hell of a scene. So we're on the same page there. I do kind of want to talk about Space Babies, which was the first of this season, if you don't include the Christmas special or the Christmas episode. Space Babies is meh. That one doesn't work.
I liked Space Babies a lot.
Yeah?
I was surprised how much I liked Space Babies as a person who doesn't like non-Space Babies. But they really sold me on it, I will say, because this is actually a point I was going to get to, so this ties in nicely. I really like, because sometimes they do this to companions where none of their adventures are fun. And it's like, why do you want to be and you're just with the doctor because you love him and you're in awe of him and you think he's cool. Like Martha, especially, if you watch her season, you realize she didn't have a single fun adventure. She went to war planets and desolate places, episode after episode after episode, this poor woman. So I really, really liked that they started the season off with, this is Ruby's first adventure, and it's fucking Space Babies, and she's covered in boogers. And I was like, I think that's good, because the companion has to love doing this, and it can't all just be terribly sad and upsetting stuff going on. So I actually quite liked Space Babies, and even outside of that, I just thought it was fun. The way the babies like had adult voices, the fucking... Honey, I Shrunk the Kids-esque mechanics going on with touching buttons with
Rube
little
Goldberg
hands.
machines.
The Rube Goldberg machines. Yeah, I thought it was cute enough, and that this was when I felt they were really friends right off the bat. When the doctor made fun of her for being covered in snot, I was like, those are friends right there, just laughing at her. So Space Babies got me, and like. It also had just like enough of a message, like we won't stop them from being born, but we won't save them. It's like, well, that's just straight across the plate, but.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked that it had something. I liked that shot that it took.
It took a straight shot.
I love the straight shots that this show was taking. I even will say I liked the silliness of that episode. That wasn't even my problem with it. I've seen I know some people have been mad at the silliness, and it's like, that's Who, baby. That's awesome.
Have you seen Doctor Who?
I love how jovial.
Silly.
I love how jovial and playful a lot of this season has been. You know, there's some more severe stuff, but there's a lot joviality and playfulness, especially between these two. It starts with it. I like the babies that can talk. I think that everything about this premise and setup kind of works really well, and it feels like a classic Who episode. I think where it falls for me is specifically the writing for Shooty in this episode, 415. It's really clunky. Oh, wow. Even though it's a very playful episode, it's a baby with a CGI mouth overlay that is talking. And then every time it cuts to the doctor, it's the doctor who's like, the last time I fought anyone, I was split in two. Split in two. It was terrible, an awful feeling. And now I'm here. And reminder, I'm from Gallifrey, the last of my planet, but it's gone now, gone. Can't even get to the planet anymore. And the constant 1,000-mile-per-hour exposition dump he's doing, and Ruby's having fun with the babies, and then they're having a little bit of fun together, and then every now and then it just cuts to 1,000 miles per hour of I understand that it's not normal for someone to be called the Doctor, but I am called the Doctor. My name is Secret from my planet where they have titles. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is they gave that man a Wikipedia page to read in that episode, and I just found that a really bad and unfair introduction to him to be like, this is the fun one. This should be the one that if someone is jumping into Who, and every doctor is someone's first doctor, and usually that's their favorite doctor. And if someone's jumping in jumping in and making them feel like this show is going to be homework while being silly, I think is not a very welcoming onboarding to be like, and here's all the Wikipedia you need to know about this character, and to be like, why can't he just be space guy who's trying to help talking babies right now? That's actually the really fun part of this episode, and it's a really good time. And that was my biggest problem with it. So that was where that one kind of bummed me out.
I can get behind that. Yeah, it does feel wildly unnecessary when you already watch Who, and it probably is even wildly unnecessary if you don't watch Who. It felt very Disney walking into the room and being like, this is our first season, so you're going to have to explain. We will not have the previous seasons on Disney+.
Yeah,
so you have to write every single thing about this man into this episode.
An 80-year-old who works for Disney who has no idea what Doctor Who was like,
explain it to me like I'm a space baby.
Explain it and put it in the episode. And like, yeah, 1,000%. That is
absolutely what happened, because this is the first
awesome
season with Disney. So this was the season where they had to explain even more, because every new companion has to have the introduction scene, because this is Ruby's first time in the TARDIS in that episode. So you get the TARDIS is bigger on the inside. I have 2 hearts. I'm an alien. It's a very standard kind of route they have to go through. But this is so much more information than usual.
Yeah.
This is, I was adopted. This is why my name's the Doctor. This is way too much stuff. So I agree. And I agree it's not good, but in my heart of hearts, I'm like, I think Disney made Russell T Davies write this part. So I don't blame him, but it's not fun.
Yeah. Okay. I get that.
But it's too much of a dump.
Okay. All right. Oh, so yeah, I can see that. To be like, sometimes the bad parts of art are things corporations forced you to do.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocker.
Oh, no.
And I think my only other small criticism of the Space Babies episode would just be the fact that when he runs away from the monster, and this is just kind of like a writing thing that I never really like. When he runs away from the monster, he's like, but I don't do that. That's not who I am. And I'm like, but I don't know who you are yet. And he's like, there has to be something wrong and special about it. It uses the special scare frequency because I don't run away from things. And I'm like, but you don't know that about you yet. And I don't know. I'm still establishing who you are.
Oh, I liked that. To me,
you like that?
Yeah, to me, that was what I want about how the Doctor's special. Because the Doctor knows that he never runs away, no matter which person he is. He doesn't run away from scary things. He's like, monsters are just things to solve. So if I'm scared, there's some kind of like note being hit in the cerebellum of my brain. And I like him being super smart, and I like him being just a little bit special.
Cool.
So
okay.
I like that part.
Okay. But then he runs away from the maestro in the next episode too. And I'm like, you are a guy who runs away from things.
I mean, he's not an idiot.
Fair.
He also knew that was Neil Patrick Harris's. Is he the Master? No, Toy Master.
Toy Master.
He's
yeah.
the Toy Master's sister, brother, or whatever, sibling.
Sibling. Yeah.
Of some
or
kind.
sibling or child.
Oh, I think it was his child.
I think it was child.
Yes, you're
I
right.
think that they're trying to establish this like pantheon of the new gods or old god or some kind of thing going on.
So anyway, but yeah, he's not an idiot. He's still like, I can't beat that.
Yeah.
But he knew what the Maestro was in a way. He
Fair.
didn't know what the Snot Monster was. The
Okay.
boogeyman.
That's entirely fair.
Yeah. British
Yeah.
people say boogie weird.
It's yeah.
And you don't? Well, you probably think we say boogie weird, but it was a fun episode. We were like, what do they say?
Boogie. I can't even remember how they pronounce it anymore. But
No, I can't either, but I know it threw me for a loop.
But you're right. He runs because he's not dumb. I tell you who was dumb to the point of annoying was the kid in the Boom episode.
This kid-
where I'm like, you've cast this kid too old to be this dumb.
Not even too old to be this dumb. You've cast this kid too old to say daddy this many times.
And that might be a British thing as well. That might be a British thing.
Oh, daddy.
Yeah,
Just
it was a lot of
over and
daddy.
Over and over again. Give this kid a different line. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. They casted, I don't often note casting problems, but they needed a kid that was 3 years younger.
Yes, yeah, because it was like, you seem to not understand mortality to a point where you're stupid. And not
You're like 12.
and not just in the sense of like, and I don't even mean that with the like, my mom went to the sky place or whatever, to be like, okay, like you're portraying it as a religious character, but it's a visible hologram of her father being in a war field, being like, I'm dead, I'm a hologram, and her being like, is that you, daddy? Why are you blue? Like, be like, you're written as dumb now. Like the casting and writing have made you dumb.
This can't be the first hologram you saw.
Yeah.
The first hologram you ever saw couldn't have been the one of the casket of your dad. Like, your mom must have had a hologram. It seems like everyone had an AI hologram just generated upon death.
Or like that's also how you have phone calls in this world as well. You tried to hug it. Like, are you an idiot? And it just made this character kind of annoying.
You know what? If she was an idiot, I'd like her more.
Yeah.
But like, she didn't seem like she was supposed to be.
If Monday was just like, oh, she's an idiot.
Yeah.
That would.
We can't get her to grasp mortality for the life of us.
She's a sweet kid, but she's an idiot.
She's a real moron.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when she like was trying to get to her dad, and like she doesn't seem to know what a landmine is, and like,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe kids don't, but like, I think when you've taken your child to a war zone, you gotta tell them what a landmine is.
Yeah.
You gotta explain landmines.
Yeah. There's a few things missing here, but largely, if it was cast younger, it would have been entirely more like, oh no, it would have felt something other than like, why is this kid so dumb?
Yeah, I always feel like an asshole when I'm like, I won't mind if this kid dies. Yeah, but I wouldn't have mind if that kid got taken out.
That was an all right episode though.
It was an all right episode. That felt like a really interesting premise and like an experiment that didn't quite work for me, but in a way I respected. Because I get the experiment of the doctor's always moving, always solving things, always like putting himself in front of people. So the problem being that the doctor can't move and is stuck on a landmine is just wildly interesting. It's a bottle episode of death. It's if he tries to flinch away or help someone, he will die. So I think it's like a really good idea. In execution though, I like when the doctor moves around. So as much as there was a lot of tension and it's like a really good episode and it's well structured and it's got good twists and stuff going on, I'm like, man, I would love it if Shooty could like walk around.
Like go.
He's got such good energy and he vibes so hard and he just is stuck there.
Hey, he can still cry on a dime though.
Fuck, he cried so much.
Mm-hmm.
So many tears.
So that's pretty good.
So that's pretty good. So he's wildly talented.
Yeah, and some good shots at both religion and capitalism in that episode as well. To be like, to be like, how is when Ruby is like, wait a minute, the church is a military in the future, and he's like, it was from where you're from too.
He's like, you live in a blip of time when it's not.
Does he say that? I think the implication was that they always have been.
Oh, no, he said you live in a blip, like, we had the Crusades, but like right now for like the last 100 years, it technically hasn't been, but it has.
So I love a direct shot at the church. Yeah. Huge respect for that. Direct shot at capitalism. Why does it have lights on it? Well, because that looks better on a showroom floor. Oh, man. That was killer.
Is it weird that felt like a shot at Tony Stark specifically? I was like, Tony somewhere just went, oh man,
come on.
My cool landmines.
I made it so cool. Yeah, it did feel like that kind of a Tony Stark criticism for sure.
It felt like something Captain America would say to Tony if he stepped on a landmine.
Yeah, you painted the Iron Man outfit a bunch of colors because it looks nice on because a killing machine looks nice on a showroom floor now.
Yeah, you literally painted it the color of a race car.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So very, very similar vibes. But yeah, really, really great shots of people. How do you feel about social media episode?
I loved it.
I also really liked social media episode.
This is a better episode of Black Mirror than the past 2 seasons of Black Mirror.
I gotta say, when this episode starts and it's like, oh, it's a social media episode, you kind of like instantly like roll your eyes a little. You're like, okay, we're gonna Black Mirror.
It's been done. It's the Bryce Dallas Howard episode.
It did feel very Bryce Dallas
We're doing
Howard-y.
Meow Meow Beans from Community. I get it. Yeah.
But the fact that like it goes into different stuff of like ways that like social media can blind you to the real world and like not let you experience things. But the end of the episode lesson being, if you're on social media too much, you'll become a white supremacist, was not the lesson I thought we were going to land on. And I loved it. I love this hard twist of not just like, put down your phones, they're bad for you. It's like, no, cultivating one friend group and not experiencing other cultures makes you a bad person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
I think that there's also something kind of bigger there that also is recurring throughout the season, which is that we can solve one thing, but there are bigger societal problems that can't be solved by a guy showing up and being nice to you.
Ooh, that as well. Very much
where it's like
so.
even the Warzone episode where it's like, please surrender. We can solve this one landmine thing and this general thing. And it's like, but the company still got away with it and murdered all of these people for profit. And we weren't able to stop capitalism. And we weren't able to stop prejudice. And we weren't able to stop the church. And I think that a lot lot of these just having these really weird and kind of terrible endings to be like, we solved a 0.0001%. We solved a symptom of the problem, and we can't solve everything, and things are bad. It's bleak, but I like that it doesn't give answers to everything, and I like that problems are solved and ending with other unresolved problems.
That is very rare for, I think, Russell T Davies especially, because I feel like every other doctor would be like, and then I stuck my Sonic into the computer and I erased capitalism and I fixed the villain tech or whatever. Yeah, like every other doctor does kind of change the societal problems quite frequently. But yeah, you're right. Shooty just kind of like saves whoever's in front of him. And he's like, yeah, if they fill another space station up with space babies, they're just going to be lost.
They're going to do
this
again.
I haven't fixed this problem.
Yeah, I didn't resolve the problem of the fact that this is a society that forces babies to be born but won't look after them. I did not solve that. That's a thing that's going to continue to happen, and I didn't solve it.
And it's not that he doesn't care. He has absolutely no way to solve it.
It's things that are structurally too big without him becoming like a conqueror. There is no way for him to fix that as an individual.
Yeah, that's a great point. That does feel like part of the modernization of like admitting there are no easy answers to structural problems.
Yeah.
You can only help what's in front of you.
Yeah, without being too bleak as well. Without being
bleak.
like, it doesn't feel like a pessimistic show. It feels like you can be kind and affect change for those people in front of you and for those things that you can manage to help. And then there are some things that you do have to kind of relinquish control of that goes to a bigger problem or to somewhere else. And I kind of like that. But yeah, the prejudice ending of the social media episode was definitely bleak. And wow.
And then Shooty just sold it. Holy crap.
Ooh.
And Ruby like trying to comfort him and him having like 2 more explosions of emotions first. It was wow.
Yeah.
Very incredible.
Really good.
Wildly good stuff.
Really good performance. And rest in peace, Ricky September.
Oh, Ricky September. Ricky September would have gotten in the TARDIS.
Yeah, he would have.
Ricky September's been reading books. I think Ricky September had a bigger open mind than everybody else.
Yeah.
And R.I.P. Ricky September. I loved you.
Yeah.
I see why everyone on the planet followed you.
And everyone followed him, and he tried to lead, and they killed him for it to save themselves.
Yeah, that was incredible in a way I did not expect. And I was like, shit.
Yeah, when she turns, and I think also that's like another bleak, bigger picture thing to be like, yeah, the heroes are the ones that the selfish society kills off first. Like they just turn on you. They don't need you.
Yeah. Survivors look out for themselves.
God damn. But great episode. Better than any episode of Black Mirror. And looked really visually distinct and cool too. It had a different color palette and different style than the rest of the season.
Different style. Like they did find a way to be like, we are not shitting on any specific social media.
Yeah.
Like we really do just mean it as a whole, which is very interesting. Because usually you're like, it's that one.
Yeah. And in that way, it will make it, I think, less dated if you look at that episode 10 years from now when most of the things that are currently available don't exist for sure.
Yeah, because sometimes they'll have references and it's like the one where like Rose is on the weakest link. And it's like, well, yeah, we don't watch that anymore. I don't think. Maybe you do in Britain.
I don't know what Britain's doing.
What you're doing.
They loved that over there.
We liked it for a minute.
They loved that over there.
They love links that aren't strong.
They love it.
Just unstrong links.
Well, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change. So now that we've discussed everything we've discussed, what would you change about this if you could change anything? Before we do ask that final question, we will remind you, as we do every week, to please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, wherever you might get your podcasts. It helps us move up the charts. It helps us find new listeners. And when new listeners do find us, it encourages them to actually hit download and give our show a try.
Look, if you're listening to this, you like it, tell other people. Spread the word.
We'd
appreciate it.
And
be kind to the people in front of you because you can't make structural change.
Yeah, you can't. Or if you can, the show hasn't taught us that yet.
Season finale.
A season finale or structural change is slow-moving progress that is not tightly wrapped up in a 40-minute adventure. But be kind to people. Leave a review for us and maybe like 3 of the top podcasts that you listen to while you're there. It's quick. It takes a few minutes. It's a free way to support some some people. If you do have some money in the budget and you do want to support financially, that's awesome. You can do that by checking out our Patreon page. Patreon, for those of you who don't know, is a monthly subscription service. You can subscribe at whatever level is in your budget, and you can get really cool bonuses for doing so.
Yeah, at the $1 level, you get our webcomic a day or several days early, depending on when I make it. At the $3 level, you get episodes of this podcast early and ad-free, which is really fun when we do an episode like this, which is about a new property, and you can get a spoiler-free review early, and you can hear about us on a Thursday or a Friday instead of a Monday, and also get those ads out of there.
Get those ads out of there. And then, last week we did Furiosa, so you could have gotten that early and ad-free, decided if that was worth your time in the movie theater. And as well, you get, the bonus episode at the $10 level. You get a bonus episode of this podcast every single month. This past month, we did Mad Max.
That was a very interesting film.
Very interesting. We had never seen it, and we were very surprised. So that was last month's exclusive. And as well, when you sign up at that $10 bonus level, you get immediate access to the full back catalog of all the previous exclusives that we've done. So there's lots of extra content awaiting you, and you can always cancel or change your subscription on any given month. You're not locked in. There's no problems with switching it up. So check out some of the options. Head on over to patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That is patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And thank you to all of our current and future patrons.
Thank you so much to our patrons. You guys rule.
Yeah.
Just a quick, genuine, sincere thank you for all you do.
Sincerely, you rule.
You're keeping us around.
You rule.
Yeah, you rule.
And now let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
Not too much. Nothing surprising. I think I've touched on every point I was going to get to for my changes. So 73 yards gets an explanation. Don't like the loop. Don't know where the doctor was. Don't know why. Don't know what the hand signals were. Don't like any of that. Not ruined, but diminished a very, very good episode by just not having an answer to anything. I was like, it happened because it happened. No, give me an answer. So that's going to be a quick change. And then other things, just like the doctor, I do want him to be just a little bigger, a little bit more epic. I would love for him to just fight someone. The Maestro is really powerful, but the Beatles kind of beat the Maestro. So I really want the doctor to have maybe going forward is more than a change of I really want to see the doctor fight someone really powerful and really one up them and be like, I am the oncoming storm. Not in a dictator way, just in a way I'm really cool. I want him to feel really cool and really smart and special. That's what I really, really like about the doctor. And not too much else. And I would like him to have an outfit. I would like him to have a standard. I loved your idea of just one coat that you can put different stuff under, because he does feel like he wants to change a little. But even just a hat, scarf, some kind of set piece. Something going on to be you can cosplay with this, guys. We did it.
I couldn't agree more, and that's I'm just gonna piggyback off of that. That's my big change is that one set piece, a scarf, a big necklace. Scarf, but I don't know.
I think he could pull off a necklace.
A hat. He wears jewelry, but that's not quite enough. But I think a special jacket or a distinctive pair of pants. I like that you're fashionable and want to switch it up, and respect that that's probably more fun and comfortable as an actor and a performer. But something that ties it all together, I think, would be very important.
Or at the very least, a distinct color palette. You do seem to like orange a lot. If it's always orange, but it might be different outfits.
Color palette,
like a Loki style. It's always green, but I wear a different green every time.
That I think is a wonderful in between of always keep it in that same color palette. Yeah.
Because then if you are cosplaying as the doctor, it's it's the exact orange.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's not bad.
I'm kind of smart sometimes.
I like that. We kind of worked together on that one. And I also like I'm also cool with your idea of making him a little bit more powerful.
Yeah, just every now and then. I want to feel my heart stutter.
I hear what you're saying. I wouldn't be surprised if as the series goes on that this is the doctor who is more vulnerable, less powerful.
I like that.
And I'd be okay with that, but I'm also okay going in your direction of a little bit more powerful because he is a little bit wiser and a little bit better than others. But other than that, I'm having a really good time.
I'm having a really good time.
An outfit and a better Sonic.
I was
That's my big thing.
I assume we're also changing the Sonic.
Better Sonic.
Yeah, this is no yak backs.
No yak back.
I mean, I would prefer an actual yak back.
Yeah.
It would be like, oh, cool. He's retro.
That would be just fine with me.
But yeah, better Sonic, more consistent outfit. We've done it.
Done. Pretty
Boom.
simple changes. Well, that is going to be it then for this week talking about Doctor Who. Next week, we're going to be back on the podcast, and we're going to be mixing it up, going for some action. We're going to be going for the fourth Bad Boys Ride or Die. We're going to be talking about next week.
The subtitle of
That's the subtitle of it. It's Ride or Die.
Fast and Furious' thing.
Hey, they didn't claim it. So they're the Bad Boys Ride or Die. So we're going to get a little silly and talk about Bad Boys next week on the podcast. So we'll be back talking about that. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach me on most social media, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. I'm at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can find me on Threads and Instagram at Pics of Diana, on Tumblr at Words of Diana. Those are my main places.
And you can find both of us most places at From Superheroes, and you can check out all the podcasts that we create and everything that we make over at FromSuperheroes.com. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.